really want to welcome you to my YouTube channel called Let's Take a Look at Life, where we discuss various issues that pertain to things we go through as humans and some of the chapters of my book and things I've been through, and I'd love to share that with you. Hi there, this is Tanja and I really look forward to our episode today, episode 8 on the channel called Let's Take a Look at Life. I am very excited to be doing this at the moment because it is a huge challenge for me and my personality and everything that goes along with it. And so I want to welcome all the viewers who have tuned in. Thank you so much for joining and for listening to these things that I want to just discuss regarding life and things we all go through as humans. I also want to just say thank you to Anumi Visuals and the crew for their amazing work in all the recordings and editings of this. And I trust that it just becomes something that is very useful to you and just aids you in the journey of life. It's I'd like to just grab a cup of coffee if you want to, and we're just going to discuss a few things. Again, as I said, with respect to life and life's happenings. And today I'd just like to reiterate again, why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this at the moment from my salon in Welkom, and after many years of conversations with many amazing women, as I've said in my intro, it's been many conversations, probably around 28,000, and having those conversations with various people and various aspects of life and discussions and those kinds of things, it really brought me to the place to especially bring perspective when we go through things in life, because there were many times where people were expressing their emotions or experiences to me, and always being the outsider, one sees things a little differently than when you're in the moments and you're going through something yourself. And I realized how important perspective is, even when we ourselves are going through something, to actually take a step back and be able to analyze and, just look again at the whole situation and the whole scenario, and maybe make a different calculation or a different summary about what's going on. There is a person called Soren Kierkegaard, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, and I just want to say this is something so profound that this person said, that the world can be understood backwards, but must be lived forwards. And to me, that is so true, because how many times do we go through things and in hindsight look back and realize, oh, I could have probably had a different reaction there, or I should have maybe said this, or I shouldn't have really let it affect me that much. And then we have certain regrets maybe, or we just feel, lesson learned. And that's where we just have to take it up from there and say, okay, now I live life forward from here with lesson learned. And this is the reason that perspective is such a wonderful tool in life. So I'd like to just give you a little bit of perspective of me, as perceptions can so easily be made, by snippets of seeing me around, maybe in a public speaking scenario, maybe participating in a pageant or judging a pageant, or even singing in church or working with youth, and just, people can make perceptions. And at the end of the day, the truth is that I am a very, very private, introverted person who, even in this type of setting, I'm really, really challenging myself to share what is, what the 50 years of my life has brought me to on the journey. And having written the book that I wrote called Face Value, having written it at the age of 42 only, and having shared very, very, very deep, dark secrets from situations that I had been through in life, which to me was absolutely shameful, and riddled with guilt, and even brought a fear of man, the absolute fear. And when this book that I had written arrived and was suddenly in my hands, a whole fresh wave of fear, anxiety, and absolute, I was in absolute fear that the world around me would have a completely different perspective of me. And however, this had to be put out. So I threw the book in the top of the cupboard on the highest shelf, and I just thought, no, I cannot go ahead with this. This book will be in print, but I cannot let people read my very deep personal experiences. And this was my perspective, because I perceived that people around were going to have very specific ideas, and lower maybe their thoughts of me, or think less of me. And that was just a devastating thought to me. And it took a whole of 3 weeks of tug and war on the inside of me to actually go back on that top shelf in the far back and pluck out that book and actually begin to read my own story. It's strange when you're writing again. It's a different perspective, and you're typing away, and you're really experiencing so much happening in that process. But it's a whole other ball game, taking that book and reading it and understanding and seeing the perspective of what your life really looks like. And this recently came together for me when in our congregation we've been doing a course called Shape, looking at how we are shaped in life to really be used as vessels by God. And we first had a look at spiritual gifts. We looked at heartbeat, what's your passions, what drives you. We looked at natural abilities, things that you just have the ability to do, personality, and then we ended with experience, life experience. And again, it took me back to when I had written this book and never realized and never understood that sharing my story in the pages of a very thin life story, however, so much depth and so much intensity in the living brought me to understand that so many other people were going through these types of things. And as I had left the fear, after the 3 weeks, basically, I stood up one day and I realized, okay, I can either live life continuing in this process of guilt and shame and fear, or I can stand in who I am and what I have been through as a whole, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and embrace who I am. And to me, that was a winning experience, a winning decision that I had made. And in spite of the fact that, yes, I'm very private, yes, I'm an introvert, and it shook me to the core to have to reveal so many of my not so good side of life, and blurt it out in a book to people. And now even being able to share it on camera and being able to speak about it at public events, that to me is where the win came in. But when we were now and on the last one of experience, life experience, something so powerful was also said here. If you really desire to be used by God, you must understand a powerful truth. The very experiences that you have resented or regretted most in life, the ones you've wanted to hide and forget, are the experiences God wants to use you with to help others. They become your ministry. So in the end of the day, what am I doing this for? It is really for my entire being just a huge leap of faith, not to just have written a book, but now to many times public speak about these things now on camera and sharing this with you, the viewer. And the reason I'm doing this is so that you can actually get to the place where your story becomes valuable to you. Many times our stories want to trash us, and we want to, roll it under the carpet, forget about it, numb it, and do all kinds of weird things with our stories, where the story of, the absolute raw deal, the truth, the who you are, the what you've been through, and what it has, the outcome that it has had, can mean so much to those around you and in your world that might need the story from your being crushed, your being broken, which could then be the healing balm for their lives and what they need. And I just think and realized once I had received, peace about everyone's reading into my story, I realized that I had been through wasn't for nothing. It has helped many, many women who have been in that kind of space, who understand that kind of brokenness and were able to relate and were able to take from how I got healed in the process and were able to then receive that kind of healing. And I think that's the most important thing, because at the end of the day, after our whole story has been lived, we need to come out on the other side as whole human beings, not not forever on crutches, not forever having an offense on certain things because we haven't completely been healed on the inside. And so it's great for me to be able to sit here and give you this kind of perspective. And that's what I wrote in my book, in the introduction. And I've said this in my intro, but I want to just confirm that again. My point is that many times in life, we are inside circumstances that seem to overwhelm and have us feel like there is no hope, no end. And it will usually feel like this. The reason being, we have lost perspective. We only see a part and not a whole. Perspective is an amazing skill to acquire in life. It is knowing that no matter what, there is a bigger picture than that moment. It's a piece of the puzzle or a chapter in the book of my life. This has been an anchor to me throughout the many trials of life. I know that the author and finisher of our lives is in control of every circumstance and every moment, and he will complete the good work that he has begun in us. If we have to look at a little bit of a bigger perspective, we will see that that it is so woven into the tapestry of worldview. If we look at culture, if we look at religion, if we look at economic belief systems or individual rights, and if we look at what gets wars going, we will see that perspective and worldview are key and core to the reactions and the outcomes that we have. As we've been looking at perspective, I'd love us to just understand that worldviews, perspectives, and these kinds of things really, really can cause. This is what causes marriages to end and families to split up and arguments between friends, and most certainly on a larger scale, world wars. And in the end of the day, we get so stuck in our viewpoints that nothing can change our minds. We are absolute in what we feel is the way to go. However, when you take a step back and you look at it from a different angle maybe, and you try and understand where someone else is coming from, you look at the bigger picture, it's easier to understand and accept, and not necessarily always agree, but accept someone else's space, where they've been and how they've experienced life. However, there is most certainly something I always fall back on, and that is ultimate and absolute truth. Because we can have so many opinions in this world, we can have billions of opinions, but based on what? Based on feelings, based on assumptions, based on experiences, based on pain, based on, just emotions that you feel. In the end of the day, those things can be burnt up, and one can even change your mind. But there is nothing like absolute truth that stands firm and will not change. It is what it is, and it will always stand. And I really think that if we want to live life on a higher level, we need to face what truth is telling us. And as I often tell the youth, reality says man cannot walk on water. But the truth is, Jesus did. And many times we live in a reality realm that, then the wave is up and then the wave is down, and then we're sinking and then we're walking. And we know that this is not how we can live. We cannot live life like that. But Jesus, who did walk on water, owns the world, owns things that are beyond us and above us. And if we are able to just submit and surrender to him, we can stop the big fights. We can, have peace around us. We can take hands with one another and really live a whole different kind of life view. So that is the reason I want to encourage you today to just stop where you're at and rethink things. Take the Word of God and page through the Bible a couple of times, read a few things, and see how your perspective could possibly change through that. So in the end, at this moment that I can just recall, the very first message that came to me after someone had read my book, that message absolutely made everything worthwhile. The tears, the fears, the guilt or the shame, the questions, whether anyone would want to care or read about my story and my mess. And what that meant to me at the end of the day was more of value. And I realized that if this is what one person could receive from my bad, then I am so eternally grateful that I did go through sticking my neck out there and allowing people to read my story and having had the opportunity to share my story on many various platforms. So I really want to thank you for sharing your time with me and viewing this episode. And yes, this was episode 8 of Let's Take a Look at Life. And yes, you're welcome to subscribe to this channel. And then we have some lying ahead. And I trust that it will be meaningful to you as we as we go through the journey of life together. Thank you. My name is Tanja de Melon, and you've been watching episode 8 on this channel called Let's Take a Look at Life. Hi there, my name is Tanja de Melon, and I really want to welcome you to my YouTube channel called Let's Take a Look at Life, where we discuss various issues that pertain to things we go through as humans and some of the chapters of my book and things I've been through, and I'd love to share that with you.